said, I don't see how that's going to help. He says, oh, you've never done it before, you know, so what do you do? He says, oh, there'll be munitions. She said, you go on munitions? He said, no, I never said anything about going on munitions. I said, there'll be munitions. Well, all the young men are getting called up and you'll have to go back to work. Oh, she's got a cruel tongue, as my wife. Anyway, the first day I got my Home Guard uniform, I'm getting the trousers next year. The missus looked at me and she said, what are you supposed to be? I said, well, I'm one of the Home Guards. He said, and what do you do in the Home Guards? I said, well, I've got to stop Hitler's army landing. She said, what, you? I said, no, there's any numbers of us. There's Charlie Burns and Harry Bates and Charlie Evans. Oh, there's just 7 or 8 of us all together. She said, oh, you're talking rubbish. I said, no, Reese, I'm not talking. She said, well, how would you know this, Hitler? I said, you are talking rubbish, Rita. How do I know which one's Hitler? I'm not in the paint business. And she said, well, how are you going to know which is him if they land? I said, well, I've got a tongue in the head, haven't I? I can always ask. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to the nappy now for a cup of tea. I'll see you in about 15 minutes for a question and answer session. We were very good as a family. We all got, funny enough, the only time there were any eruptions was when we had guest artists. And they always seem to upset the apple cart somehow. But no, on the whole, we got on very well indeed. Some more friendly than others, you know. Well, as I said earlier, people like Arthur tended to keep his distance a little bit. He was very conscious of being the star of the show. But the rest of us, I mean, we all went for drinks together, and up in Thetford, they were in one hotel, us back the second row of the chorus, we were in another. But we very often went to each other's hotels for dinner at night, or we'd have boozing sessions, and the hotel manager say, now come along, gentlemen, I know it's Dad's army, but I've got a license. So no, we all got on very well. Yeah.
And what's your favourite episode of Dad's army?
Oh, that is an unfair question. I can't say I've got a favourite. And I suppose it would have to be one of my own, really, I suppose, because I was the one who suggested to them that the Home Guard had helped bring in the harvest. Because I can remember in Wigan, during the later summer months, seeing my corn master masquerading as a second lieutenant, and my Uncle Jack, with a rifle that didn't suit him, marching down the road and getting on a bus. And I said to my father, I said, where are they going? He said, oh, they're going out to Giles Hall Farm to help with the harvest. Because obviously, of course, during the war, the harvest was very important. It was vital food. And I suggested this to Jimmy, and he had a word with David, and David came to me, he said, are you sure about this? I said, well, why not research it? So he said, I'll do that. So he got onto their BBC research department, they went to the Imperial War Museum and other. They said, oh yes. When there was no activity on, the Home Guard filled in their late summer months, and the air raid wardens helping with the harvest. But their guns and their coats and their helmets were never far away. You know, so Jimmy, they said, oh, very good. Hence, they gave me that lovely part in it, you know. Yes, now this doesn't look terribly complicated, this machine. Sponge will explain to us how it works, the harvester. I said, I don't know how it works. So you don't know how it works, you're a farmer? I say, yeah, I'm a sheep farmer. I suppose that would happen. Oh, and then that party afterwards, eh? That, of course, was Prop's drink that we were having, that so-called potato wine. But when we'd actually finished, the farmer on whose land we were doing it, and it was his house, he said, I want you all to come back into the house now. He said, the wife's got some real apple wine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd seen us trying to get back onto that coach again, after 2 glasses of her homemade apple wine. Oh boy. So that was a favourite one. Naturally, of course, apart from the horse, the Battle of Waterloo, the Soldier's Farewell. I thought it was such a touching thing, and Arthur, bless his heart, he did it in all seriousness, that Napoleon. He sat and watched Herbert Long, I think it was, playing Napoleon, and he said, that's how I want to do it. But of course, Arthur with glasses on doing Napoleon. I said, I don't think Napoleon ever wore glasses, so never mind. But he was quite sincere about it, and of course he loved parts like that, where he could, Napoleon, please.
Well, there's 3 parts to this one actually. First of all, do you, it's a bit cheeky this one, do you receive royalties for all the reruns on TV and videos?
A fair point. A fair point. We don't, actually. Not as they're shown on satellite now. We get a repeat fee if the BBC show an episode, and they only ever show 1 episode. But all these back-to-backs that you see on satellite, the agreement, which Equity are now trying to change, by the way, was what we call a one-off sellout. And when they bought that block of tapes, they bought it and you were paid a sum proportionate to your original salary. Now, as you can guess, I mean, I wasn't very far up the pecking order in that lot. So I think for the ones that they show on satellite now, I think I've got something like the magnificent sum of £42. But they can show them as often as they like now because they own them. And that's why they can, and it's the same with other shows, they own them, they can show them back to back now. So we don't get repeats on those, only if it's on the BBC. So if you see the BBC show you an episode, have a look, see it in 5 minutes, and give me a ring and tell me how it's about.
What other parts in theatre and film have you played?
Thank you, Stanley. Stanley and Janet, no. How long have you got? I've only been at it 50 years. In my time in weekly rep, my record books tell me that I have learnt, ladies and gentlemen, committed to memory, over 650 parts in a lot of years. And don't forget, a lot of those were weekly rep. You were learning a play one week while you were doing another play in the evening, twice nightly. And it was no fun, believe you me. So I think I would say in the theatre, the part that I'm playing at present, for which I'm being paid, is my favourite part.
I must say that I was employed in the Scottish play, The Octagon, a long time ago.
Yeah. He was in the Scottish play, God help him.
I got 32 pence and a Jaffa cake.
Oh, did you hear that, Stanley? You got 32 pence and a Jaffa cake. I didn't even get a bloody Jaffa cake. Right.
Would you have changed your... Can't read this. Would you have changed your choice of career? If so, to do what?
No.
What's that?
Buy a copy of my book, it'll be on sale later. I knew when I was 4 years old, despite my father's protestations about being a doctor and a teacher, going to university. No way, Jose. I knew what I was going to be. I was going to be a great old ham and enjoy it.
What theatrical work have you been involved in since the series?
Since the series? Well, for a time, the latter end, I was still at the Octagon then. I did 1 or 2 trips to London to do episodes, and then after I finished at the Octagon, I was running with another chap. I was running my own company in London called the Bijou Theatre Company, and also I was travelling down to London because by this time I'd moved my home back to Wigan, because I'm not going into all the details, but I had a relative to look after. And I used to commute down to London, but it was a bit unfortunate really, as Jimmy Peggy said. He said, bad move that, you know, Colin. And Flora Hurd said the same thing, bad move.